Hi everyone, it's Julianne here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how I created this Slimline space card. I actually created this card a while ago and it has just taken me forever to finally sit down and finish this video, so I'm super excited to finally be sharing it with all of you today. For this card I'm going to be using a bunch of Honeybee Stamps products, including the Far Out Friends stamp and die set. I will also be using the Stellar Sentiment stamp and die set, as well as the Rocket Ship dies. I'm going to be using one of my favorite Slimline die sets, which is the Slimline Card Series Card Panels and Windows dies from Trinity Stamps, along with some Nuvo Shimmer powders in the colors Storm Cloud and Violet Brocade, and then finally I'm going to be using some Nuvo glitter paste. So let's get started. To start out my card, I'm going to first be creating my space background using those Nuvo Shimmer powders. So I have pulled out my splat box so that way I don't get those powders all over my work surface. Each of these powders does have glitter inside of them, and as we all know, glitter is quite a pain to clean up. So if you have an old shoebox or even an old box that your crafty goodies came in, both of those would work as well. In order to create my background, I'm going to start out by spraying my background panel, which is a piece of watercolor cardstock, and I'm going to be spraying that using some water. And then I'm going to be coming in and adding those shimmer powders, starting with the Violet Brocade. And as you see, those powders already react with the water as soon as you add them in there. Now, depending on how much water you put down in the beginning, you may need to add some more, as well as some additional powder in order to cover your entire background. Next, I'm going to come in and add some of the Storm Cloud powder, and again, I'll be adding some more water to really get those powders moving and blending throughout my background panel. I just love using these powders because just like alcohol inks, I don't think there is really a wrong way to use them. As long as you're having fun, just go for it. You really can't make a mistake. Each time you use them, you can combine different colors that they offer, and you're going to get a completely different look out of them. And if you happen to add too much water like I have, you can just use a paper towel in order to soak up that area. And then finally, once I'm happy with how my background looks, I'm just going to set this off to the side to completely dry while I start working on all of my coloring. Now off camera, I have already stamped out each of the images that I plan on using for my little space scene, and I have stamped them all onto a sheet of Expressive Blending cardstock, using some Memento Tuxedo black ink, so that way I can do some Copic coloring. Now there is quite a lot of coloring for this card, so I have sped up this process in order to save some time in this video, and I will make sure to have all of my marker caps off to the side of the screen if you're interested in any of the colors that I'm using today. And I'm just going to put on some music while I continue to color in each of these images, and I'll be right back. Now that I've finished with all of my coloring, I'm going to be using the coordinating dies for the Far Out Friends stamp set in order to die cut out each of my images. Now, to make sure that my dies stay in place as I run them through my die cutting machine, I'll just be temporarily adhering them down using some washi tape. And once I have those all cut out, I'm then going to be going back to my background to add even more sparkle. Now you can definitely see here that those powders are super sparkly once they're dry with all of that glitter that's inside of them. But to add even more, I'm going to be coming in with some Nuvo glitter paste using a star stencil that I already had in order to create some stars in my space scene. Now, if you wanted to skip this step, you definitely could, because as you can see, the background was perfectly fine just the way it was. So once I have all of those stars all over my background using that glitter paste, I'm then going to set that off to the side to dry again, and then I'm going to start working on creating my rocket ship. Now, in order to create my rocket ship, I'm going to be using the rocket ship die set from Honeybee Stamps. I ran the base of the rocket ship through my die cutting machine using some gray color cardstock. I used the bottom die as well as the wing and the top of the rocket ship in order to die cut out some green color cardstock. And I chose green in order to match my astronaut's outfit. And finally, I used the light blue cardstock for my window. Now, to make each of these die cuts look a little shiny, I'm going to be coming in with some glossy accents, and I'm going to be adding that over each one of those die cut pieces. Once I have added that to each die cut, I'm then just going to set those all off to the side to completely dry. Now again, this is an added step, so if you wanted to skip adding in the glossy accents, you definitely could. If you did have some metallic cardstock, you could use that with your die cuts to get the same effect. I just didn't have any, so I went with the glossy accents. Now, once everything is completely dry, I can now start working on assembling my card together. And I'm going to be starting out by adhering the ground, which is going to be my moon, and I'm going to be adhering that down to the bottom of my card. Now, since I am adhering on top of that glitter paste, I need something heavy in order to hold that in place while it completely dries. So I'm just going to be using a candle that I had on my desk, but you can use whatever you have. This was just my closest item. Now, while that dries, I'm going to start assembling my rocket ship together. I'm going to be adhering all of the pieces that I added those glossy accents to the base of the rocket ship using some more liquid adhesive. And once I get that last piece all adhered down, I'm then going to be adhering my rocket ship directly to my background. Now, when I adhere it down, I'm going to be adhering it so that most of the rocket ship is going to be hanging off the side of my card. Since this die is so large, I need to make sure that I have enough room for all of my other images that I colored in earlier. So again, I will be adhering that down using some more liquid adhesive, and then I will set that same candle or anything heavy that you have on top of that until it completely dries. Now off camera, I did trim off the excess from that spaceship that was hanging off my background using a pair of scissors, and I did adhere my background down to a piece of black cardstock just to make it a little bit more sturdy. And now I'm going to be adhering all of my images that I colored in earlier. I'll be adding my astronaut to the top like he's floating in space. And then I'm going to add that cute little alien down at the bottom like he's standing on the moon. And then finally, I'm going to be adhering down my sentiments to my card as well. And the sentiments are from the Stellar Sentiment stamp set. And I just stamped and white heat embossed those onto some black colored cardstock as well. And I'm going to be adhering those down using some foam adhesive. And once I get both of those adhered, that's going to complete my Slimline space card using the Far Out Friends stamp from Honeybee Stamps. I definitely love how this card came out, and I love that background using those Nuvo shimmer powders. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe for even more card making ideas. And if you are interested in any of the supplies I used, they will all be listed and linked down below in the description box. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time, and happy crafting!